Zale, are you sure you need to take the beds too? Jack grunted half an hour later, as Chio carefully lowered the second of the two into the pit for him to arrange amidst the other items already there. Quickly followed less carefully by Scifi dropping the duvet on his head. Whoops, sorry, the squitter apologized between chuckles, as Jack scrambled to pull it off, neatly folding it up with the rest of the blankets and thin mattresses, which he then tucked underneath the rickety frames, pushing it all as far to the edge of the storage space as possible, next to the fridge. Anything else? Jack asked, after he quickly put away a few chairs. You got any more enchanted fridges you want to stick down here? What was amazing to Jack was how well both Zale and Rel were prepared, with a very large stash of long-life food, canned and bagged in several crates, already in the extra-dimensional storage basket, including several Zale had pulled out from under the beds. It was clear that the squaw car had planned and practiced well, as they quickly changed into a prepared set of clothes that were folded next to their bug-out bag. They had slipped on a thick brown coat with an overcape that seemed to change colour slightly depending on what was nearby, and also put on some beaded necklaces and bracelets Jack assumed were magical in some way, followed, strangely, by a newsboy cap. No more fridges, I'm afraid, Zell joked back, as she passed down another pile of clothes. This is it for all our stuff, though if we have time I would like to harvest or preserve our remaining crops for replanting, especially the grain coin. It won't take long. Then we throw in the candles and kettle, I perform a closing ritual for our lodge, then we go. Sounds good, Jack sighed as he climbed the ladder. Any luck in the laird, Scifi? Footage is a little grainy, but he's either stomping around populated areas or going back to a big building in the centre, which I assume is probably his home. And probably where the entrance to his vault is, Jack concluded. Nothing on their comms? On searching the dead militia members further, Scifi had been positively delighted that there was a working radio that she was able to patch into, enabling them all to listen in to enemy communications, though only the scritter was on that duty, until they finished up business here. Barely any chatter. It's still quiet, but the laird is paranoid they're going to be attacked soon, Scifi shrugged. That means we may be able to lure him out, Chio reasoned, assuming we're convincing enough and he doesn't just bunker down instead. Perhaps if we convince him a massive convoy of residents has been spotted trying to break out, near where we know he is, it can keep him occupied trying to find and stop them. Yeah, even if we're able to sneak in, it's getting out that's going to be the problem, Scifi pointed out, looking to Jack and remembering when they experienced that same problem with the prefect's lockup. Actually, that passed the easy bit, Zell grinned as she came in, placing several boxes down by the lip of the pit. I'm going to have our big earth spirit tunnel us out and seal the passage behind us. That's how we planned it out with just the two of us. That could work, Chio acknowledged, before a quiet squeaking sound chirped up from the stack of boxes. Oh, you guys want to say hello? Zale asked with an encouraging smile, as they gently lifted the cloth cover of the topmost crate. Oh no, Chio began. Ah, Scifi perked up. They're so cute, and they've got babies. Jack couldn't help but smile as he peered in, and saw two small brown and white furry creatures with 6 legs, 2 droopy ears and long, thin snouts, ending with a series of whiskers. But most exciting of all was the 5 or 6 babies on each of the backs of the little creatures fast asleep, twitching slightly, as they were exposed to the open air. If Jack had to give a close approximation to an animal from Earth, he would equate them to an opossum or a capybara. Rael found Thulu here as a baby, abandoned by its mother, so we adopted it to help us keep the pests away from our crops. We then offered to adopt Stega from a rancher we know who operates a rescue sanctuary for animals, to give Thulu a mate, and you can see the results here. Thulu gave birth about 2 months ago, and we haven't named the babies yet. Did you by any chance inform Alora that you would be bringing animals back? Chio asked, unimpressed. I could swear I mentioned it. Zell nervously smiled apologetically. We can't just leave them, Chio, Scifi argued, and Jack nodded in agreement, placing a reassuring hand on Chio's shoulder. I know, the Illithid sighed. I wasn't suggesting we abandon them, just that I don't appreciate the lack of warning. But I suppose it's alright. You have a responsibility to these creatures, and Screeds feed on pests anyway, leaving crops be. Allura will be more than happy with that. For the record, I'm cool with more animals around, as long as they don't shit in the house, Nika called out over the comm. Vanya seems to like that idea too, especially the babies. Now you have to get back here alive. I want to see them. Are they alright to leave in there? Jack asked Zell, pointing at the extra-dimensional space. They're not going to run out of air or anything, are they? They shouldn't do before we're done, Zell shrugged. There's a lot of space for them, so they should have several days' worth of breathable atmosphere. Sounds good, Jack nodded. Let's wrap up here and head back. Zell took a few moments to quickly perform a closing ritual, dismantling the astral construction of the lodge, before finally nodding sadly, dropping the last few candles into the pit, then speaking the command word and reverting the extra-dimensional space back into the small wicker basket it had been before. Zell then picked it up, stuffed it in the top of their bag, and after taking a long look and letting out a resigned sigh, finally turned. Let's go. So, this thing is going to basically follow us underground? Jack asked curiously, as he carefully steered the boat down the main canal towards the town centre. Yes. As a greater earth spirit, I can't keep his astral form bound to mine like I do with my lesser one. Zell sighed sadly. The greater was bound to the lodge, but since that no longer exists, they will eventually fade within a few hours. Until that happens, I've just told it to follow us without manifesting, but a spirit that large will still attract attention even from the astral realm. Makes sense, Jack replied, politely, though completely lying his mouth off as he steered the boat quietly down another canal that Zale had pointed out, that was suitable for them to stealthily travel down. Sir, can we take a break? There's nobody out here and the weather looks bad, a voice called out over the militia comms they were listening to.
The weather? You want to complain about the weather? The voice of the laird roared. A little ogre-cast weather is nothing compared to what's coming. Sector 7, report in. You're behind schedule.
A pause followed with no response, before a slurred voice could be faintly heard in the background. Sector 7 reporting in.
Are you drunk? The laird snarled back in anger. My swamp is going to be attacked, and you want to get to drinking? You had better shape up and do your jobs, or your contract with me is ogre.
We should be able to get up pretty close to the town centre, Zell whispered. The lead had lookouts further away, and enemy factions are expected to try a land attack. I suspect once one tries to, and the other finds out, they're all going to come here wanting to claim the district. Meaning we should be either in or on the way to the vault by then, Chio clarified. Or if it doesn't happen, we should try stirring the pot to get the lead to move, if he doesn't do it on his own. Guys, Nika called out over the comms, you might want to move. There's a group of kids playing in a park near your position, and a militia patrol is heading right towards them. Fuck, Jack gasped in alarm. We've got to hurry. Chio nodded, using her power to pick up the spare 2 sets of oars, and visibly strained as she added to the momentum Scifi and Zell were already providing. Hearing shouts in the distance, Jack didn't care how conspicuous they were being, as he leapt off the boat as soon as they had beached it on the closest bit of land they could find. Keeping low to the ground, the group tried to keep as quiet as they could, even as they sped to the sounds of shouting. What's this? A voice snarled. Another one? Did you think you could hide from us? The muffled sound of a child screaming could be heard as they struggled, and Jack quickly gave directions over subvocal comms, moving to a line of hedges, as he pointed directions for the others, individually guided by Nika, who was watching from the drones. What do you want to do with them? One of the militiamen asked. Laird wants anyone breaking curfew rounded up and interrogated for suspected treason, Another snorted in amusement. Jack recognized it as the voice of Zybel, the militia patrol leader they had hidden from earlier. I can't be bothered going all the way back to deal with that. Whatever shall we do with them? He drawled mockingly, as if he knew what was going to happen. That depends, another chuckled. Do you think these kids can learn to keep a special secret? Ha! You're a dirty, dirty man, Grob, Zybel laughed. As to Jack's disgust, he could hear several noises of agreement. Get out there with Razee and check for any stragglers, then get back here. How many, Nika? Jack asked in a low growl. I think there's 5 or 6 of them in total. It's hard to tell. They bunched the kids up and they've got 4 keeping watch. I think there's 2 others looking around, but it's really hard to tell from the tree cover, the kids had whispered for all of them to hear. Are they separate from one another? Jack asked. Yup, Nika confirmed. One near you, the other near Scifi and Zale. Go lethal. Keep it quiet and undetected, Jack told the others. There's no showing mercy to these guys after hearing them say shit like that. Gotcha. We've got this one up ahead, Scifi confirmed, before several muffled noises rang out, followed by a slight rumbling over the comm. He's down, she confirmed after several seconds. You better hurry and get in close, Jack. Jack was prepared, looking ahead at the figure that had just stopped in front of a bush and dropped their trousers before a wet trickle hit the ground, alleviating Jack's worst fears as he saw the overweight Grob up ahead. The toad-like being was gleefully humming a tune as he finished his business. Jack pounced, forcing his left hand around Grob's mouth while stabbing his knife into the exposed throat, punching the blade through the front of their neck in an instant. Holding the man down as he flailed about in a panic, Jack controlled his breathing, trying to remain calm and quiet as Grob's lifeblood flowed down his hands. Shouldn't have threatened the kids, Grob, Jack whispered regretfully. Several tense seconds went by until Grob went completely limp, and Jack allowed for several more just in case they were playing possum, before gently dragging the body behind the hedge he had come from. He's down, he called into the comms. We're in position, waiting on you, Chio confirmed. Pick your targets, and get ready to take them all out as quickly and quietly as possible. Try and wait for my mark, but if you see them make a move for the kids, do not hesitate, Jack whispered, as he crept further up along the bushes. Guns are going to be loud, Nika warned. Arcane and close range is the way to go. I can get close with the trickster's cloak, Scifi confirmed. I can get the drop on the one closest to me, maybe 2. I can get 2 at long range, Chio confirmed. I recommend Jack rushes in with his axe as soon as we've acted, and have them distracted in the moment. Sure, Jack agreed, seeing the logic. Zale? My air spirit can disrupt the sound in the area, and my greater earth spirit is underneath them, the scorecard confirmed. I'll do my best. Chio calls it, Jack declared. I'm going to try and get one to move away from the kids towards me before we go. On your mark. He kept his eyes on the group with his axe out, as he carefully reached down and picked a pebble off the ground, and threw it hard into another bush opposite him, but nearer his location. That you, Grob? One of the militia members called out, as they took a few steps towards Jack. Now! Chio exclaimed, as several powerful globs of water were pelted towards the militia at high speed, smacking Zybel and one of the other closer militiamen, but missing a third. Scifi was on them quickly, using her wings to propel herself forward, latching onto them and stabbing them repeatedly as they fell down. Jack bolted out of cover as the fourth turned around to see what was happening, burying his axe deep into his neck, as Chio finished off the second militiaman. Hell! Zybel tried to gasp out, as a mound of earth ripped out of the ground and pinned him down. He tried to yell out as soil entered his mouth, flailing wildly as he was pulled into the ground, buried alive by Zale's greater earth spirit. Everyone shush, we're here to help, Jack whispered to the kids, before he turned to his group. Was that all of them? He asked, before he heard a sudden shuffling sound from behind him. Shit, stay back! a terrified-looking militiaman called out, having just turned around a side alley. He quickly pulled an insectoid girl to his chest and held his knife against her neck, tears of fright running down the rusty blade. "I don't want any trouble. I was just chasing after the kids." "Let her go," Jack replied sternly, just loud enough for the militiaman to hear as he leveled his photon pistol at him. "Let her go." "No," he called out. "If I do, you'll kill me." "I can't risk getting him from behind," Chio warned. "And if I try to get in his mind, he'll know." "Hey, relax." Scifi tried to smooth out as she walked forward. "We just want the kids safe. Just let her go and we'll let you run as long as you keep quiet." "Stay back," they warned, and Scifi stopped moving. Zale, for their part, didn't know what to do and just stayed put. "Jack, can you make the shot?" Chio asked, and the human didn't know if he could. He had made well-placed shots before when his life was in danger, but could he do it and save the child? He knew he had to try. Jack stilled himself as he waited for the perfect moment.
"Sector 5! Report! What's going on? You're overdue for an update!"
The voice of the laird roared. The militiaman looked at the communication device pinned to his shoulder for just a moment. "Don't," ordered Jack. In the space of a microsecond, the militiaman tried to hit the button as fast as he could to call for help. Jack tensed as his fingers squeezed the trigger, praying that his aim would be true. Before either could finish their actions, a concussive sonic sniper round completely destroyed the militiaman's skull, dropping the child unharmed to the ground. "Shit! Get to cover!" Jack called to the children, as he frantically aimed at where the shot had come from, using his body to shield the kids before they all ducked behind a solid brick wall. "Holy shit! My drones are having trouble placing them," Scifi called out, before the low buzz of her comlink distracted her. Immediately dismissing the call, she checked the trajectory of the shot, and just as immediately, the comlink buzzed again. This time she answered it. "What? This isn't a good..." "Huh?" "Talk to me, Scifi. Where's the sniper?" Jack called out. "Patching the call to you," Scifi called out. "Hey, Jack, it's me," Critch cheerfully called out from the other end. "Critch, this really isn't a good time," Jack apologized, before the listener interrupted. "No, I mean it's me. That was a sick shot and you know it," Critch replied smugly. "What?" Jack asked, perplexed. "I can see you thermally through my scope. I know it's you that helped those kids," Critch replied, a little slower for Jack to catch up. "Wait. You're here?" Jack asked. "Why are you aiming at me?" "Aiming at you? I'm not suicide..." "Sector 5, what is your status?" the laird roared, from the still body of one of the militiamen. "I swear, you slobs better not have overdosed on drugs again." "Shit," Jack cursed. "One sec. Don't shoot, or I'm gonna be pissed." He dashed over to the comms and hit the button. "Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed," Jack began, having quickly noted that he had to answer before his brain then told him that he had no plan for what to actually say before he continued. "Sorry, boss. Just doing a little band practice. Nothing to report." His heart skipped a beat. "Your datanet reviews mentioning you as reliable help for the price are clearly overrated. Get back to work!" The comm then went dead. "How are you so terrible at misdirects yet so successful at the same time?" Scifi snorted with laughter. "Anyway, Creech wants to meet up. Says his grandfather wants to talk." "First we get the kids safe," Jack insisted, turning to the oldest-looking one, who didn't look completely shook with terror. They were a blue-hued humanoid with strange bumps all over their scalp, who looked up at Jack in a mixture of confusion and terror as the human crouched to get to their level and looked directly into their eyes. "Hey, I need to know where the closest one of your homes is. You can't stay outside and things are going to get worse, so it was stupid of you to even be out here. We need you off the streets and bunkered down. Zale, can your earth spirit hide the bodies? The child needed some coaxing, but eventually they found a bungalow not too far from the park. After incessantly knocking on the door, the parent was brave enough to peek and see the reason for the disturbance, quickly ushering the children in with a quick word of thanks. Contact the other parents that the kids are okay. Otherwise they'll be looking for them in the streets themselves, and we really don't want anyone in the crossfire that shouldn't be there, Jack warned. And the parent nodded before barring the door, leaving the group to quickly and quietly sneak to a set of bushes back at the park, deep in the fog, and well out of the way of any prying eyes, and where Critch was already waiting for them. "Where's the rest of you?" Critch asked, as he saw the four approach. "I don't see Alora and... Wait, that's not Nika." "Hello, Critch," Zale replied with a happy smile. "Zale!" Critch exclaimed with sudden panic. "Well, why are you here? I mean, it's nice to see you too, but..." "Critch?" Jack interrupted. "What's going on? Why are you here?" "I could ask you the same thing," Critch retorted. "You're not working for the Laird, are you?" "Hell no," Scifi replied, before Jack had a chance. "Oh, thank the gods," Critch sighed with relief. "I thought it was unlikely considering your clash with those militia, but I wanted to make sure. You picked a hell of a time to come here. I think..." He paused to check his comm, holding up a hand to shush them, as he quickly spoke to someone talking to him from afar. "Yeah, I think I'll be fine, Grandad. Yeah, I'm speaking vocally since I don't want to be rude and keep them in the dark. Yes, I'll patch you through in just a moment. Out." He turned to them quickly. "Okay, looks like my grandfather wants to ensure we cooperate. He specifically mentioned Jack and Scifi by name, but he knows Chio and Zale too. You cool to talk to him?" "Sure. I've met him before, but we need to be quick. The Laird will find out those militia are missing sooner or later," Jack warned. "Not a problem. Patching him through now," Critch replied as he held out his arm, which projected a vid-feed hologram of the Lizda Primarch. "Good evening, everybody. This is the Chashtail." The elderly Lizda smiled faintly at the group. "Firstly, I must apologize for making contact in an unconventional manner such as this. However, I had no way of knowing you would be operating in the area tonight, and I wish to ensure our mutual cooperation. To that end, may I ask what your intentions are?" "Sure?" Jack asked, a little confused. "We were escorting Zale to their home in order to safely collect their belongings and move out. We also think there may be an opportunity..." "The vault," the lister answered immediately. "I guessed as much. I believe we can cooperate in this matter. However, we have several objectives we wish to accomplish tonight, and securing certain items within that vault is one of them." "I see," Jack replied neutrally. "Were these guys trying to rob the vault too?" "Please don't be alarmed," the lister hurried to add. "This is a secondary objective for us, and I will be willing to handsomely compensate your group if you will be willing to relinquish those items to us." "Then what are your intentions?" Jack asked curiously, and the lister smiled slightly. "There are several warring factions known to each other that will attempt to take the district tonight," they began. "None of these factions will be successful in their attempt, and they will also fight in an abandoned area my operatives have pointed out. Tonight will also be the day the Laird's regime collapses, and these other factions no longer become a local threat." "You want the district for yourselves?" Jack asked. "Yes and no. Any hostiles that survive the end of the night will be wiped out by Clan Ashtal operatives, but we have no intention of laying claim to this area. As of last night, my clan has peacefully claimed praxis over several of our smaller neighboring districts that have fallen to disuse and squalor, which we're in the process of rebuilding. Now, several of the former residents of the Laird's territory have sought refuge in those territories, and have informed us of the situation they fled. Our operatives' objectives are to guard the civilian residents of that area, and offer them the opportunity to live and work in Clan Ashtel territory once the dust has settled." "That sounds good, provided you treat them fairly," Jack nodded. "Of course we will. However, we have reason to believe that the Laird keeps several prisoners in the underground section where he also keeps his vault. The old man made an annoyed expression at that. I had planned to attempt a rescue after the fighting, but having received reports on how paranoid the Laird acts, I do not wish to take that risk. I had planned on pulling several of my operatives away to attempt a rescue, but since you want to target the vault anyway, I wish to ask for your assistance in assuring their safety. My grandson has told me firsthand how good you are at that. Fair enough, Jack shrugged. Secure the vault, bust the prisoners out. We also want Miss Hawker to slice into the Laird's communication system and grant us remote access, the lister added. That would be very useful to everyone. And one last thing. The Laird has demonstrated poor, dangerous leadership, and is no more than a vicious bandit who has tormented the residents he should be protecting. I sentence him to death. I have given my orders to my operatives, but if you get the opportunity, kill him. I will be willing to add a bonus if you do. All right, Jack agreed, needing little persuasion. He didn't fully trust the guy, but he seemed trustworthy enough, at least for now. Let's do this.